Hi, welcome to my next tutorial on Angular 4, and this tutorial is a bit different in the sense that I'm not preparing this tutorial as a regular series for the Angular 4 tutorial. It is actually based on a viewer's request. I try to make as much tutorial as possible, including some kind of requirements for coming up from a viewer. So I may not be able to attend to all the requirements, but at least try my level best to attend to whatever possible I can. And if it is some very important kind of use case or business scenario, then I definitely try to come up with that tutorial, depending on my bandwidth as well. So today we will look at a requirement, a problem statement, and a scenario that is required by one of our viewers, that uh, uh, Autosuggest is required. A feature of Autosuggest or autocomplete is required to be implemented, and the requirement is also that the data should be fetched from the Excel file, some external file. Okay, so I've tried to create a small application, a demo application for that, which I'll walk you through along with the concepts that has been used. So we may be aware about autocomplete and autosuggest. Like you see that whenever you are searching on a Google search engine or any other search engine, you'll see that whatever you are typing, it will suggest you some text based on that. Okay, so that it is easy for the user to simply select the suggested keyword if any matches with his or her requirement, and just go about making the search. Or some kind of form you are filling, then maybe like you're typing something and it will suggest you that this is what you want to type, and if it is okay, you can just select it and fill the form. So this saves you a lot of time, and it is a very good user experience as well. So before we look into that, let me create a very small snippet in HTML, which is already there, which I've already created. In fact, I've created it, so I don't need to create it from the scratch. So for Autosuggest, we can use one already available control in HTML5, that is called Datalist. So the one the code which you see on the screen, the HTML code, this is the minimal code I have written, where you have got an input field and give it some list name, that is countries. So list will refer to what data list. List is referred to the data list name or ID, in fact ID. And you have got data list, just like we have select and option. So almost similar, we have data list and option. So in option we can give values. I have given India, Indonesia, China, Japan, USA, UK, France, and ID I have given as countries. And this is the list I'll refer to. So this part is called the list. An input field will be where the user will type the input, and it has got a list attribute which refer to which data list it should go for. It should pull for Autosuggest or autocomplete. So let us just quickly run this and see the effect, and then we'll be using the same concept to implement for our data list, Autosuggest and autocomplete requirement. So this is the file, so I just open it. Let me open it with Chrome only, and remember that your browser should be HTML5 compatible, otherwise this will not work, this control will not work. Or even if it is HTML5 compatible, you have to see that it works, this control works on that. Like in the older version of IE, this doesn't works. Okay, so if I type IN, so you see that it is suggesting me texts whatever way I type. Okay, and if I just click on this arrow, that will give me it will just act like a simple drop down. Okay, if I just type anything, it will just give me the suggested text and I can select from it. Okay, so it is very simple. Like if you are using HTML5, then it has got a readily available controls called data list, as we have seen just now. Okay, so this is what we are going to implement in Angular 4. Okay, now before we proceed, let me show you the block diagram for the application which we are going to develop. we are going to demonstrate. It's actually already developed by me. Just to save time, already developed it, so I won't develop on the go. Okay, so that will save time, because we have to look at the PHP code, the backend server side code as well, and have to look at the Angular code as well to get the entire picture. Though our scope is limited to Angular, but still we will looking some part at a very higher level in the server side code as well. Okay, so this is the block diagram. See, this is our Angular front end application. It will send a request via REST service, HTTP call. So in Angular we will be using the HTTP service, which we already done in one session, which for which the tutorial is already available. So if you already are not aware of it, please go through my tutorial or any tutorial. There are lots of good tutorial on YouTube and on the web, so you can go through that. And so when you send a request to it, so this request goes to this server side script. This block is the server side script, which can be developed using any server side code, be it PHP or JSP, Servlet, Spring Web MVC. Though I am to develop it with Spring Web MVC, but unfortunately on my system, like the Spring framework, it got corrupt, so I had to do it quickly through PHP. Okay, so this PHP, this server side code or whatever server side code, it will read the Excel file. So this is my Excel file. So from Excel file, it will read the Excel data from the worksheet directly, and that Excel file will be read and formed into a JSON, and the response will be returned to Angular with JSON. And once it comes as a JSON, we know that we can easily bind it to our form controls or the HTML input controls or any controls for that matter. Fine. So this is the block diagram. Okay, now since this is a REST call, now there can be different strategies. So let me show you the strategies. One strategy is that you send the REST call, HTTP service, as the user is typing words on the keyboard. Or other thing is that fetch all the data upfront in one call. In the beginning, when your application loads, fetch all the data in one call. So both these approach have got pros and cons, and depending on what is the requirement, so you need to weigh and measure and then decide as what approach should you take. So say for example, if I say send request as keyword, okay, as keyword is typed, okay, so the process that on demand loading, like when you are typing, that time only it is loading the data, it is not loading the entire data up front. So if you are hitting a database, I think this is the best way to go. Okay, because in database it will trigger an SQL query, and from that you can only fetch what is required. Okay, and cons is that too many service call, because the moment you are typing a keystroke, every time it is making a service call, and you have to cancel the previous service call. Like if you are typing fast, if a user is typing fast, then you also have to take care that the previous service call is getting cancelled. Like you cancel the observables in Angular, so this is achievable. Okay, fetch all data in one call. If you look at the second approach, what is the process? The process that just one or maybe 2 or 3 service call is required in the beginning, depending on the complexity. So in the simple scenario, only one service call is required. Hence filtering Autosuggest data is faster, since all data is available on the client side. So every time user is typing, we don't have to hit the server side. So all the data is there on the client side, so it is faster. Then and there only you can sort it out through JavaScript, writing the front end script to sort it out. Okay, and what is the downside for this approach? The downside is that the startup time will be increased, obviously, because you are making the call and trying to fetch all the data in one go in the beginning. So the increased startup time and much more memory consumed, since all data is stored on client side, and lots of memory will also be consumed because the data is stored on the client side. Okay, now for our given scenario, as one of our viewer requested that he or she requires the requirement for him or her is that it should read the data from the Excel file. So for that I have tried to demonstrate both, but I think for that the second strategy will be better, because every time you're typing keystroke and is trying to read a file is not a good approach, because anyway it will traverse through all the sheet, all the Excel rows. So it doesn't make much it doesn't gives you much advantage. Like if it was a database call, then I would say go for the first approach. but since it is a call from the file and we are no way we are able to control it the way we control a database fetching through SQL query, anyway it has to traverse the whole file. So it is better not to go for the first approach, because every time it will try to traverse the entire file. And say for example, though in my I have taken only as an example 400 to 500 records, but in actual scenario they can be 3000 records, 6000 records. Okay, so it will be lots of heavy payload, you can say. So we'll go for the second approach over here, but I'll give you the hint for the first approach as well. Like in case in future if you don't want to go for Excel sheet, now you want to connect it to database, then you can use the same code with small tweak. Especially on the server side, on front end side, the same code can be reused even if it is hitting a database. Okay, fine. So first we will look at the server side code. First we have to prepare the server side code. This is the main part. After that we can prepare the front end application. So let's look at the server side code which I have developed in PHP. So if you are conversant with any other server side programming language, please feel free to develop the same thing in any other programming language like JSP, servlets, Spring Web MVC, Cold Fusion, whatever. Okay, or if you are a front end engineer, then you can always request your back server side developer that he or she can develop it for you. You even don't require to develop it yourself. You only have to tell them the interface that this will be the request I want, this is the parameter I want to send, and this is the response I need. Okay, so first let's look at Excel file with data. So what I have done from the web, I have tried to download from one site where it will give me the Australia, the country, Australia's state, postcode and type, latitude, longitude, everything. Okay, so I'll try to read this file. So this file, it will be read and it will be, and a JSON will be formed out of this data. It will read the entire file. So we have 463 record nearly. Okay, first record we can ignore if you want, but still I have included whatever it is, or you can ignore it also because that is just the caption. Okay, so I'll read this file. So for this file I'll try to read this column, say state. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm not reading all the column, though all the column data is there, but I'm just trying to read this name. Okay, name column, and then depending on name column, whatever is selected, user can select and they can display all the columns if they want. And this latitude, longitude also you can read, and you can even extend it to pass it to Google Maps and it will pinpoint you the location. But anyway, we have kept it simple. We are not using any maps or something like that. I'll just give you a pointer to that. Okay, now comes the next part of the block, that is the server side code, fetch data from Excel. So here we'll be using PHP with one component, extra third-party component, that is PHPExcel. Now for PHPExcel you can download from this site. Just go to this site, make a Google search for PHPExcel, and you'll get this, the name of this site. So if I go to this site, this is the GitHub site. Oh, I'm sorry, my internet connection is not there. Let me switch it on. Okay, now if I go to this site, you'll see that there is an option to download this whole file, whole required library file or class files. Okay, this is here, so you can just click on clone or download. Okay, and from here you can say download zip, so it will get downloaded. After downloading it, just extract the file. After extracting the file, you'll find a classes folder inside that, after extracting that file locally. Okay, so that class folder you have to put in your projects folder. Okay, now I'll show you how I have done that. So I'll come to this PHP server first. So what I have done, I have set up a WAMP server, which is a all the stacks you get together, that is for Windows, Apache, then you have got MySQL, okay, and PHP. So either you run WAMP server, that is very simple, you can download, or if you are really want to learn PHP deep detail, then you can manually download all these stuff separately, Apache server, PHP and MySQL, and manually configure it. Okay, so I just have a WAMP server, so you can go any way you want. So over here, so let me start it. So I'll say start all services, it starts. So you can choose your own approach. Okay, you don't need to have WAMP server and all this stuff. But if you want to get things done very easily, then you can download and install this. Okay, now from here, if I go to www directory, if I click over here, so this is the directory where I have kept the project. So I have kept my project inside Angular 4. So I've got this PHP file. So I've created one PHP file called get data from Excel, and I have put my Excel sheet which I've shown you over here called AU town sample. Okay, and here is where you have to put your classes that which you have downloaded. Put the entire classes folder after extracting the zip over here. So classes PHPExcel, this is how it will come. Whatever you have downloaded, put the classes folder over here in the same projects folder. Okay, and I'll show you this PHP file now. Okay, now coming to this PHP file. Okay, all the PHP starts with this tag question mark less than question mark PHP and closes with question mark. If you already know PHP, you are aware of it. And if you are just a front-end developer or a front-end engineer, then take help of any server-side person. He can create and get this service up for you. Okay, so here you have to include this file classes. This is the library file. Then only you can read from the Excel sheet. This is the library. Okay, these two lines I have put because my PHP runs in a different server and my Angular runs in a different node server. So there will be a cross origin issue, because for security purpose it doesn't allows you to hit the service from one domain to other. So you have to set it in the header of the any server side code you are making, that access control allow origin should be the name of your domain. Anyway, I put the wildcard character star, which means allow any domain to hit your service. And then you also have to say allow methods, whatever methods you want to allow, get post. So these two lines you need to include, otherwise your service can be accessed only within the same server. That is the Apache server where I am running, but I am running it in a different Node.js server. So that is why these two lines is required. Okay, or even if you want to expose your service as a third-party service to some different third party, then also you can put it over here. And here you can even control which domain should be able to hit your service. Okay, then I have taken a variable called input keyword. So with dollar starts the variable of the PHP. So all is the default, means it will fetch all the record. But I have also kept the provision that if input keyword you are giving some particular keyword, then it will only fetch those part from the Excel. Say if I have given the keyword, say Abacom. Okay, so it will only iterate through the file, only pick the Abacom records. But in file based fetching, it doesn't make much difference to me in terms of time taken to fetch, because it will anyway iterate through the whole file. If it was database, then this was more useful because it will form a SQL query and only fetch that much record. Okay, now after that I have written the entire code. From here it will create a reader object. So this is a very generic code for PHPExcel. Okay, it will open the worksheet. Okay, I have to give my file name, so I have given the file name over here, and then I put in the try catch block so that it will show me whether it is a error loading file. Okay, so this part is just to open the Excel file. Okay, you can simply copy paste this code. And anyway, after this session I'll just put all this code on some repository and provide the link in the comment section, and you can download all these codes from there. Okay, then this will get the worksheet. This part of code will get the worksheet. What is the number of row count and what is the number of column count, it will get all these values, and then I can loop through it. And after looping through it, I can read each and every row and column in a way and form, and see I have put the word keyword empty because if there is no value, because in Excel some part is empty. See, this is empty, this is empty. So that through that my structure, JSON structure doesn't comes proper. So that is why I have inserted a string called empty, which I can handle later on. So you can leave it as without any word also, that is also fine. And then I have a little bit complex algorithm I have used over here, not very complex once you understand. I have used some separator because I wanted some JSON structure like this. So let me first hit the URL and then I'll show you. I have written all those algorithms just to get this kind of JSON structure. Okay, so keyword by default is all anyway, so I'll just say all. So this I am hitting the PHP server, that is Apache server which is embedded inside WAMP server, and I get this structure. Okay, so if I copy this, then I open this site, say JSON formatter site, just to check my structure. Okay, I paste it over here. I go to viewer mode. See, this is the structure I wanted. So this JSON is object and these are the key values. So automatically this will become my key value. This will become my key, and rest of the columns will become my values separated by tilde character. Okay, so this character I am making it the key, the name of the array pass. So this will give me an advantage, but you can use your own strategy. Whatever JSON structure you want, you can discuss with your server side programmer and take it. The reason why I took this is because if I make this as key, that will be very easy for me to select the value directly, and rest of the thing are values for this particular key. Okay, so this key, one advantage is all this keys collection I will take in the my Autosuggest box, and whichever user is selecting it, so against this key name I'll get the entire value separated by tilde, and that value I can split into an array and display it in different fields. So this is the reason why I have adopted this strategy, but please feel free to take your own approach. You can make it more optimized if you want. So as per my own thought process and as per my own thinking limitation, this is the structure what I have come with. So if you think there is some better way approach to this, you can go ahead. So maybe it is possible that you may have some better approach than this. So this is the response structure which we will get. Okay, now coming to our, I'll come back to this Angular code now. So this server side code I think is clear. Okay, let me look at the code once again. Okay, so finally it is returning. See, echo is to return this response. So JSON encoded response I am returning finally. So whatever this, all this logic I have written, loop inside a loop, just to create that kind of a structure. So if you'll see that this is an associative array I have taken, and inside this associative array, if you see suburb is the key, this will act like a key. Okay, and this explode if you see that there is an explode command API being used over here in PHP. Let me see if I've used over still, yeah, here I've used. This will actually convert your string into an array, and this will be the separator. Okay, explode command is just to create a string separated by some kind of character into an array. So this is separated by a pipe character, here it is separated by a tilde character. Okay, so this entire algorithm is just to loop through and form this structure, that's all. Okay, now let's come to Angular part now. Okay, now I come to app component.ts. I already have the code ready, so I'll just walk you through the code. Okay, so since I'll be calling a REST service, so I have to first create an autocomplete service. So I name this as autocomplete service. So in this service is very simple. So this is the advantage of using Angular. So services are always injectable, so I import injectable, decorator injectable, then I have to import HTTP also because I will having a web service. Okay, REST service. So that REST service you saw, this is the URL which I hit. So this whole URL, and last part input type keyword. If you want to filter, then I have made it dynamic, but anyway you can use all, you can pass the value all, or you can pass some specific value. Maybe in future you want to link it with DB, so that is why I have kept it flexible. Okay, so this method if you call with this parameter whatever keyword, so it will search with that keyword in your Excel sheet, and then return this .http get URL. So in one of our session in making HTTP get call, we have already done this, so you can refer to that video if you are not aware of it. Okay, so this will return an observable. Now coming back to app component.ts. So app component.ts selector is already the same one I am using. Now this is the template file HTML. So let's first come to HTML. Let's discuss the layout. Okay, now if you see the layout, I'm using this, I just made a div, and inside div I'm just using that Datalist control which I showed you just now. So I'm using this bootstrap classes, so because it gives a very good look and feel. So if you want to use bootstrap classes, then make sure that in the index file you are referring to your bootstrap file. So here I am referring to this bootstrap min.css. So if this is already included, then you can actually decorate it using bootstrap class. So div class container I am taking, then h1 title form, inside that class form group and form control for the control For the div, surrounding div, it is form group, as we had discussed in the previous session also. So these are bootstrap classes. Okay, or if you don't want to decorate, just take a generic one just for the demo purpose. Okay, now input list name is suburb. Okay, so here data list I have taken just like I have shown you example, and option will repeat. Okay, so this in this option I have taken ng4, which will repeat and collect your auto suggest text. Okay, remaining of the thing like what are the how key up works and this thing, even key up is not required at the moment, you can delete it. Okay, just this control, and this should be dynamic option. Okay, as you have seen that this data list.html which we have done, so it all the suggestion depends upon your options data, so that is why option is being repeated. Okay, fine. Now I come back over here. Okay, and we'll discuss the rest of things step by step. We'll go step by step. Okay, so I'm not going to the code series wise because I'm going to logically. Okay, now since you'll be using this autocomplete service, so you have to import this. Then whatever service you import, you have to put that service name in as a provider, then you can start using it. And then third thing is you have to inject it using your constructor. Okay, so in constructor I have injected this is the way we inject in a constructor. And also I'm injecting this element ref object because I'll need to manipulate the DOM. Okay, DOM tree, so that is why I'm importing this element reference also, and I'm also importing after view init. This is the life cycle hook, like after the entire application is loaded, then I want to do something, that is why after view init is why I am using. We'll see to it how we'll be using it. Okay, now let's come to that service. So as soon as it starts, your application starts, this constructor will inject this service, and after the whole application has rendered, ng after view init, since I'm implementing after view init, see after view init I'm writing over here this component implements after view init, then you have to define this, implement this, provide an implementation for this lifecycle hook. This means all the DOM tree, everything has been loaded, though you can do it in ng init also, that is also fine. You can even do it in the constructor also, but anyway I choose to do it in ng after view init. So this dot autocomplete service dot get suggested text and keyword you are passing. Okay, this dot keyword, so this dot keyword I have kept here default as all. Later on you can manipulate it if you want it to be more flexible. And then you have to subscribe. If you don't subscribe to it, it will not call the service, because this gets lazy loaded. Observables are lazy loaded, while promises are not lazy loaded. Okay, this is the difference between promise and observables. Okay, which we have already seen how observables we subscribe to it. After subscribing, you'll get this response data over here as this parameter res. So this we use arrow function, and here what we do, we call this function called extract auto suggest data, which I have defined, and pass this response object formatted as JSON, response.json. Okay, so that means once it is passed as response.json, you get this structure. Once you get this structure, then you have to look through this JSON object. Okay, all the keys of the JSON object, these are keys. I am interested in collecting all the keys. Okay, because keys will give me all this Aaron's pass, Abba river, Abbe, all this etc. Okay, so over here, okay, my cursor blinks a lot. Okay, so over here you see that that JSON, this data, in this data that JSON object will come, and here there is one more variable which we'll discuss later called full data. I'm just storing this full data also because this I'll require, though in Autosuggest did not require so much thing, but I have tried to complete this application as much as I could. So I'm taking it because now based on the selection of the data from full data, I'll extract the values. Okay, because I'm using the second strategy which we discussed over here in this table, fetch all data in one call. That is why I'm interested in keeping this data on the client side. That is why this full data variable will hold that. Okay, anyway, now coming to that, this now let's suburb keys. So suburb keys will actually have all the keys. So object.keys data, so all the keys will come as a collection in suburb keys if you are using this JavaScript command called object.keys, and data is a JSON object, so it will collect all the keys. So it will be assigned to this variable called suburb keys, which is a local variable using the let command. Then item count will be, it is of type number, suburb keys dot length, total number of keys. So that many times I have to loop it and then push these keys in an array called suburbs. There is an array called suburbs where I am pushing all these keys, iterating through keys and pushing it. So finally suburbs will have all the keys. Okay, and through these keys I'll be making the auto suggest. Keys means all these values, array pass, array river, etc. So suburbs array is ready. Now this suburbs array, if you go to HTML template, so you see we have used this ng4 directive, star ng4 is equal to let item of suburbs. So it is looping through this array. So item will, every time it loops, item will consist of the item from this array, and this value I'll put this as a value. So in data list will get populated. This is enough to make our auto suggest component data list. Let's run the application. So I've already started my server using ngServe, my Node.js server. So both the server are running, the PHP server means a WAMP server and this server as well. So now I'll come over here. So see this localhost Angular, this service is also running, which you have seen, and this is the same URL which we are using inside Angular. Okay, and this URL can be different depending on your system, your server, or what port you are running on. So now I'll start Angular, which is running on port 4200. So the Angular forms title is coming. Okay, now if I click over here, see it takes some time, then you see this is coming. Okay, it takes some time to load the data. So now if I say an, okay, I've got some issue in my system, it flickers a lot. I've recently started facing this issue, so please ignore. So see, whatever I'm typing, all the words, all the keywords which contains an inside it, I'll see that. Okay, it will suggest me. If I say SYD, so see this comes. Okay, see BA, all these come, and then I can select it and it will come. Okay, so this is how it works. So see the simple step, and we get this auto suggest. Okay, now when it is loading, if it is a huge file, you will see that it takes some time. If you type, nothing happens, so it takes some time to load. Okay, now it is loaded. When this arrow comes, then I come to know it is loaded, or you can see in the console it is getting loaded. If you hit the console, see if I hit the console, okay, this error is coming because we have to do some more thing. We'll come to it, so ignore this error for the timing. Let's come to network. So if you see, the moment I hit this, it is coming. Okay, see it has still not completed the request. It is saying provisional headers. Okay, it is still, now it has completed. When it says status 200, okay, then it completes. Okay, but for huge file it will take some time. User may not know something is happening. So for that, let us put a Ajax loader or spinner, some kind of GIF animation which will be act as a spinner for this request. So I already have that spinner. I have downloaded one spinner over here, which I put inside assets folder. So if you go inside assets folder, okay, so trainings Angular 2, okay, src app, okay, sorry, it is inside src assets. Okay, there is spinner1.gif. see, this is the spinner I have, a GIF animation. So this I will show as long as the data is being loaded. Once the data is loaded, it will switch off. So the strategy is just to define this over here. So I already have it over here. I kept it commented. I'm uncommenting it. Okay. See, it is in image src spinner1 GIF. Okay, and initially it will not be visible. So over here, see, ID I have taken as spinner, class name is spinner. So I can style, I can put a style over here in my component. So style, class name is spinner, see with dot I can give, position absolute so that I can place it anywhere. Opacity also I am decreasing, I am making it semi transparent so it looks very much merged. Z index 1000 means Z index is the depth, like I am trying to keep it top of all the element. Even if some element is on created after this, that should not come on the top. Margin left 50% just to center it a little bit, and margin top 20% from the top, since it is a position absolute. Okay, and so it will be shown in the beginning as soon as it is loading. So as soon as it loads, so I'll say this dot element, native element. Okay, this is how we select a you can use this Angular object to select a DOM. So query selector, and you have to give the ID. ID is also spinner dot visibility, okay, is equal to visible. Okay, it should be actually be dot style dot visibility. Okay, I missed it out. It is a style. Style dot visibility is equal to visible. Okay, the moment it is getting loaded, after that it calls this service, and once this service is gets the response, then this method gets called, right? So in this method I'll make it again invisible. Okay, so I already have that code. Okay, after the extract data is complete, I'll make it hidden. Okay, style.visibility is equal to hidden. Okay, fine. Now let us run it and see we get this loader. So this means if the data is loading, you can put any kind of spinner you want, depends. Okay, now the data is loaded and I can start working on it. See, okay, it will flicker. As I told you, my system has got some problem. For once it flickers, after that okay, let me do one thing. Okay, let me restart. So it has, the browser has crashed. I've got some issue with even with my Chrome browser as well. So since today I have started facing this issue, let me close it. Let me hit this again. Okay, we see this getting loaded. Okay, and now we get this data. So I can choose any data. Okay, now moving on further. So this is fine. Now depending on this, we can display the values, whatever values selected. So we can assign some event. Okay, we can assign some event. So let's do one thing. Let's create 2 more fields, and there will display some value from this column. Okay, say I'll display this state, I'll display this type. So I'm placing 2 field which is already there. I just kept it commented. So let me just uncomment this. Same way, div, just like a bootstrap style we put. So we put over here also for div, wrapping div class will be form group, and for the control it will be form control. So I'm giving it ID state and ID type. Okay, and over here in this data list, I'm taking a change event. Okay, though it is better to take an input event, but the reason why I'm not taking input event is the moment you put some keystroke, it will start getting accessed. So I want that select and just click outside, then it will fire a change event. Okay, but you can choose whatever way you want to use the event. It is calling a method called select item, and $event data is being passed. Okay, so select item. So come to select item. See, in select item, whatever you have selected will come over here. You can get that value from event.target.value. So let vals is equal to this dot full data. See, here I am referring to full data. You remember we have stored this full data, unparsed data, full JSON. So the reason why I am taking full JSON is, see, if I take full JSON, this entire object is available to me, and full JSON, and then I can refer it by key value. This key value I'll pass to it, and I'll get this entire value over here. So this whole thing will be my value, and then I can split it using the tilde operator and display. This will become the array item 0, this will become array item 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So let's see that. So I'll take this in select item. So vals is equal to the value full data. Oh, okay, so full data is the JSON. So for full data, what is the value I want to fetch? So event.target.value. So if I have selected the value over here in my form, if I have selected the value, say this aldehyde, then aldehyde will become the key for that. And what will the value fetched? So aldehyde over here, wherever we get it, I'm not able to find it, is somewhere here in this list. Say if I would have selected, for example, say Abe. Okay, so then the value will be this whole part. Over here you see this is the value, this is the key, this is the value, this whole thing will become the value. So that way the value comes. Okay, fine. So vals array, so vals will get that entire value with tilde separated. Then I'll define one vals array, which is nothing but vals.split with tilde array. So when I perform in this command, then we'll get an array of all the values, okay, related to that key. Okay, and in that value I know that the 5th position is my state, starting with 0 position of the array, and 7th position is my type. So if I come over here, so ID is this is the 0th position, 1st position, 2nd position, 3rd position, 4th position, 5th position. Okay, so this way 6th, okay, 5th and 7th. Okay, I think this one we have excluded, that is why 5th position is this type, and 7th position, 5th position is this state 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. fourth position. I think I am inserting some index also, that is why it is coming as fifth, and this comes as seventh. Okay, so this is how we are getting this value. So fifth position will come in this state, query selector state, that text field, and will come in the type text field, seventh value. Let's run it and see. Okay, so let us run it again. Okay, I think I have not saved it. Let me save it, and let me save this TS file as well. Okay, now let's see. So this is running. Now you get the two other fields as well. Okay, so it is still loading, so you have to wait for the full data to get loaded. So more the data, more time it will take to load. At least you are giving a visual indication. Okay, if I say SY elder side, click, and just click outside, because I've given the change event, not the input event, you get this. Okay, so you can improve it the way you want. Okay, in what event you want. Now again I select some other thing, so it will give me Autosuggest also. Okay, BA, then say Ambania. So the data related to Ambania will come over here. Western Australia, rural. This is the type. This is the, I forgot to give the label. Better we should give the label also. Okay, so that it is easy to understand. Okay, so in app.component I have not given the label, so better you can give the label over here. Okay, it is always better to give a label. Okay, so this is the input control, so let me give a label, just one label I am giving. So it is type and slash label. Okay, so you can give label for, I think this was not type, this was state, I think. Okay, no problem. So this will be type and that will be state. Okay, so state, and same way over here also we can use label, and this will be say country, whatever it you are choosing. So this column name is say name, so let me give name only. Okay, so you get this. Okay, now you can understand which field is for what. Okay, now so this is one way you can have an autocomplete. But suppose if you are making an application which is like the users are using older browser where data list is not supported, or you want more decorative data list. Okay, so then in that case you have to create your own component. So let us look at that approach as well, where you can create your own component. So I already have one component ready. I'll just explain you the code base. So that component I have made in custom component. Okay, this autocomplete dot component dot ts. So all this source code I'll be providing, so don't worry about it, just try to understand this. So in this component, same, this will also use autocomplete service. So in this component also I've used bootstrap, form group, and this thing. So I've kept one input box and one div, and inside div, so it will be a combination of input box and div. If I go over here, say in paint, if I want to draw it and just show you, so one input text box will come like this, where a user will type. Okay, just a rough drawing I am giving, and then whenever you type something, a div will become visible. There will be a div just below it, and inside the div you have got ULLI tag, repeating tag, as many element you have. So this is your div, and this div consists of ULLI tag. Okay, inside this div you have got UL and LI tag. Okay, UL LI tag. Okay, UL and LI tag. Okay, so this is the structure. So this whole div will be, red one will be invisible. As a user typing something, it will search, perform a search, and populate all the text, and that those text will displayed as ULLI tag. Okay, if I use ULLI, then I get bullet points. Okay, and so I have to remove that bullet point, right? Now to remove that bullet point, I have given a style. Okay, over here, see list style none. So let me do one thing right now. Let me remove this style, then it will be easy to understand. Okay, now so this is simply a text and a div, and inside that div we have got this UL LI repeated. okay, ng for, depending on your keywords. Suggested text is your keyword. We'll see how to get the keyword over here also. It will be the same approach like we have done for the previous one. Okay, only this structure is say different. Okay, and this will be ng if. It will only be visible if the length is greater than 0. If there is no data fetched, that means there is no data to show in the drop down, so it will be false. The length will not be greater than 0. So it is very simple, and here you will display that item within this ULLI. Okay, and for this div suggestions, I have given the class name suggestion div. So for div, I am keeping the background color white. You can keep it any other color you want. Border I have given, and margin also top I have adjusted so that it moves to the tops. So you can use your own CSS. Okay, so now after defining this, I have to place this. So this is the selector is called autocomplete, if you see. Okay, so this selector is autocomplete. So let me copy it. Then this selector, if you want to use it, you have to import it over here. In the app module, you have to import it first. Import, okay, from say the custom component, right? Custom component slash autocomplete component. Okay, and over here you have to autocomplete component. Okay, and this autocomplete component, since it is a component, will come into declarations, right? Autocomplete component. Okay, once you have done this, put it in the model, then come to HTML and say let us put it over here. Okay, let us put it somewhere over here. Okay, so we will have a div. Okay, no need to put div, that is already put there in the component. So just that component autocomplete and slash autocomplete. Okay, just this component will place. Now let us come. So you see that you have got that suburb component. That component title is suburb. Okay, now see, as soon as I'm typing, this is also performing the search, but this is actually a, and this will work on any browser. Okay, because we have created from the scratch. Now how is this coming? Let's look at that first. Okay, let us look at that. Okay, now when the application starts, here also I am implementing on in it. Okay, so ng on in it, it will same way like in the previous one. It is calling this surveys and extract items, just like we are extracting, only the way of extraction will be different over here. So here also I'll take this dot full data is equal to data. Okay, so that we can fetch key value from here. Suburb keys will be object keys. Item count will be this much, suburb keys dot length, and then I'm taking an array called items. So this will be my filter text. Okay, so over here I'll say for let this is equal to item count, and this whole thing is being pushed just the exactly the similar way we have done previously. So all the keys are pushed into this array. Okay, now after that you need to, as soon as the user is typing something over here, see, if I am typing something in this input field, okay, so that time I will fire a query called key up. So this event, I am in key up event, I am firing this, so I am triggering this method every time. So this method will actually extract the full text to be shown. Here I am getting the full text inside these items. Okay, inside items getting the full text. Now from that, whatever users type it, based on that this will get filtered on the client side only. So for this we are calling this extract suggested text. So here I am taking a value called query. If query not equal to null, okay, if user has typed something, this means query. If you see what is query, query is nothing but ng model over here. Whatever users type, say a he has typed, so a will be the value of this query variable, ab will be the value. So if it is not empty, then it will extract this suggested text, means all the values matching with ab will be stored in this suggested text finally. So this suggested text is equal to this dot items. As we know, items has got the entire keys. So we will run a filter function over here. In filter function, this it will return whatever is the value of that you are passing, lowercase just to make everything uniform. Lower index of this dot query dot lowercase. Okay, if it is greater than -1 means something has matched. Okay, dot bind this. If you do that, then it will return you that filtered text, all the text related to that it will return. Okay, these are the suggested texts. Okay, so and it will return you as an array. Okay, so this suggested text gets all that array. Now this dot suggested text, if you see over here, this is what is being used over here. Let item of suggested text, so it is iterating over suggested text and displaying all the suggested text over here, item of this suggested text over here as a ULLI. And ULLI, we have given this see style, list style none, margin left. This I had given so that because the bullet point should not appear, though I have cut it, but I think it was running from the cache, so that is why we were still seeing that. Okay, it is not yet loaded, sorry, so I have started typing. You should disable the field also. Okay, you can improve it further. See, right now it is not disabled, but you can disable it. As soon as this loading is over, then enable it. Yes, now you can enable it. Okay, so try to do this. See, you over here you'll see bullet points are there, so I have removed that by using this style. But for that, to show you that, I have to clear my cache, but since I have got other applications also for which I want it to be cached, so I am not clearing the cache. You can run it on your side after you download the code and create the code and just check it. So that is why this list style none, and the text movement I have bought it margin left I have adjusted. Okay, these are for styling. Even if you want, you can remove it, not a problem if you are okay with that style. And then suggestion is the div, this div background. See, if suggestion color, if I change, okay, so let me just change it to, instead of white color, let me make it to say some other color, slight yellow, and border color I have given 1 pixel solid grayish color, and margin top I have given because there was a gap between the div and the input field. So now I save it and let us run it. Okay, so let it get loaded. Okay, still it is loading, it will take some time. So it depends on the length of your file. Okay, it has loaded now. Now if I say so, now I see the background color, see it is changed, so you can actually customize it as per your need. Okay, fine. And see, it is not highlighting whatever you are selecting. Suppose if you want to have it highlighted, then you can create your own custom directive. See, already I have got a custom directive in one of the session. I have, if you remember, I have created it. So if you can leave it like this also, you can use this custom directive called hover directive. Okay, so rollout color I have given as white. So if you want to use this directive for highlighting purpose, so you can keep it simple. So what I will do is, I'll go to module, because I have to use it again, I have to inform the module that I am using this hover directive. So I'll say import, okay, and then from say dot slash, so custom directive slash hover directive, and inside this I have got this hover directive component. So directive will also come inside your declarations array. Okay, so just put it over here and you are good to go with this hover directive. So what is the selector for hover directive? It is custom hover. Just take this selector. So I am not explaining this directive, it is out of the scope of this session. If you want, you can refer to my custom directives video tutorial or any other tutorial on YouTube or the web. You will get lots of tutorial. Okay, especially for this tutorial you can refer to my video on this custom directive. So there I had created this specific hover directive. Okay, now after this I will give hover on this ULLI. Okay, so let me give hover on li. Say if I want to, or UL, wherever you can put it, let's put it over here. Hover direct custom hover is equal to, I can assign a default value, what value I want to hover on it. So I want to hover on it pink. Okay, now let us run it and check. Okay, let it get loaded and let us try it out after it gets loaded. So you can improve it further, you can improvise this application further. Okay, now I say okay, now see this pink color, and white. So I should not say white over default, I should set the take the background white, then it will look good. Otherwise on rollout it is white. Okay, so that is why we find this patch over here. Okay, now so clicking outside should make it disappear. It is not happening, so I leave it on you as exercise to make it disappear. Only if I remove all the text, then it disappears. Okay, so what I will do is let me revert this back to white so that looks better. Okay, so this suggestion color, let me make it white. Okay, so white. Okay, I don't need quotes over here. White colon, and then I will just comment this one out so that you can refer this value if you want. Now if I come over here, let it get loaded. You can put any preloader as you wish. So I have tried to use whatever I can. I'm not good at visual designs, so I hope you ignore my color schemes that I have taken and the graphics I have taken. Okay, now if I say okay, now see, so you get this whole highlight over here, right? Fine. So this is okay. Now comes the final part. Whatever I'm selecting, it should get displayed over here. Right now it is not displaying, right? So how do we get it displayed over here? Because see, this is in a separate component, this is in app.component, and this is a separate component. So we need a component communication over here. So for component communication, we have two ways: from the parent to child component or child to parent component. We have @input and @output decorator, which we have already done that tutorial session. So you can refer to that video tutorial on communication between components. Okay, and here we will be using only the @output decorator. Okay, so and that is the final part. Okay, now I'll come to this part first. Let's see. So I need on init is already there, output decorator I need, and also I need event emitter, because I'll emit an event from here with a payload, and this payload will be the data that I have selected. Okay, and that data will go over there in the parent, and there it will get displayed. Okay, so @output decorator I have taken. So I have defined one event, one variable called data event, which is of type emitter event, and what type of object it will emit I can give over here. I have taken any, means any kind of object, or you can just say array object. Okay, new this event. This is how we define it, as you know from my previous tutorial. And then finally, whenever this user is selecting some data, say for example, how is the user selecting the data over here? So he is clicking. So on click, whatever he is choosing, he clicks on that on the div. So this select data gets executed, and item is being passed as the parameter, means whatever item he has clicked on, that item will be passed as parameter. So come to select data now. In select data, whatever is the item, I assign it to a variable called query, with the variable which we can use later on, or here you can even leave it out. Now suggested text. Okay, there is an array. Now vals, it will get full data. From the full data, it will only take the value of the one for which the key is item. So this is the item we have selected. Okay, so this item will be provided over here. Same way, same logic we are using. So this is the key. So in a JSON object, we can always put in the square bracket and put the key value, and the entire value you will get. So that particular value will get in vals, and split it with tilde, because the value is separated by tilde, and you get a vals array. And then vals array position 5 and 7, as I told you, is the required column that we wish to display. So then after that, you just create a date object, a local variable, and that give a key name set. You can give any key name. Say I have given state value is equal to this, and type value is equal to this. So this way we can extract the value, and this value we need to send to the parent. And in the parent, that those two fields are already there, and there we have to write a logic which will extract this state value and type value and display in the respective fields. So this data event dot emit, and emit I am providing the payload as data object. Okay, so over here in app component, what I have to do, I have already, to extract that object, I have already written one method for that, to extract that object. Okay, see, get data, I have written one method where that it will receive that data, and then in this state dot value, just like this state dot value, here it was vals array, here it will say data dot state value, and data dot type value. See, data dot state value and data dot type value. Okay, already written that method over here. Only this method I have to define over here in this autocomplete, this custom component. So in custom component, what was the output what was the output variable that custom event which we have declared? The name of the custom event is data event @ output. We have already given provided as a decorator. So this will be exposed as an event now, data event, which we already seen. Okay, so I'll say data event. So that means whenever this event occurs, this event will always occur whenever event.emit command is given. So the moment it happens, then this will be called, and here I'll say $event object we pass, just like we do it. That's it. So it will call get data. The moment I select something over here, the moment I select it, so select data will get invoked, and select data final will form the data, and it will emit this event, data event.emit with payload data object. And in this HTML, this data event will be called, and once this is called, it will just call this get data, and whatever is the payload over here, this payload will come in this $event. So this get data over here will get that data over here. In the data parameter will get that object, that value which is passed from that component, child component, and from here dot state value and dot type value, it will display in this state and type. So that's it. Let's save it, let's run it. Okay, so let it get loaded, it will take some time, and now it should display the value the moment we select something. Okay, now we will select B, say Abel's Bay, click, and see it has selected those values. Now let us take some other value, is say Shakia Gardens, so New South Wales and suburb. Okay, so you have to improvise it, like say for example if a user is making it empty, this should also become empty, simple. So you can do that as well. I have not implemented that, but try to improve this more. Okay, so we have seen how we can fetch data from here. Okay, we can create an Autosuggest. We have seen both the approaches. Okay, the approach of using Datalist control, which is which will only display which will work only in HTML5 compliant browser supporting Datalist, and if you are using for older version, if you are using older version browser, then you can go for your own custom component for Autosuggest. Okay, and we have seen the PHP file, so I'll place all these files over there, and there is further scope for improvement. I'll already put the code over here. That say for example, if you want to use keystroke, like on the stroke of the key only, it should fetch the values. It will start fetching the values. So I already have put the code, but you can uncomment it and you can just tweak it a little further. So on key down, okay, on key down key up event, I have already placed this code. So you can uncomment this, and the moment you just key in some data, it will start hitting the service. But remember, it will keep on hitting the service. So you have to cancel the observables on every keystroke and then make a new service call. So you have to work on that. But for this kind of requirement, it is better to go for one-time upfront uploading, upfront fetching of the data, because it is fetching directly from the file. But if you have to fetch from the database, then you can uncomment this code and tweak this code a little further and make it work. Okay, so this is all from my side. So I hope it is clear to you. In case if still you have doubt in something, please feel free to comment or ping me regarding this. So thank you very much, and I'll again come up with resume with my series on Angular 4 tutorials. So just stay tuned. Thank you very much. Bye bye.